Today's video is all about dungeon chest stealing mechanics. Have you ever been doing a solo dungeon, or maybe a group dungeon solo, or maybe a group dungeon with a group, or just anything where there is a lootable chest, an open world chest, anything of the sort? The way it generally works is whoever kills the boss can claim the treasure for themselves, but interesting enough, in one of the latest updates, there is a new mechanic that will allow you as a solo player to steal the chest from someone stealing the chest from you. That's right, chestception. I'm going to show you many different scenarios where how chest stealing mechanics work, how to steal chests, how to not get your own chests stolen, even when you are massively outgeared by an 8.4 player. So let's get into it. We have a legendary dungeon here, and I'm going to enter it as Chef Swolbenji, pretend that I popped a map. But lo and behold, mean old Swolbenji, that evil YouTuber, he's faction flagged. More on that later. Oh, he saw that dungeon and he's like, I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna take that chest. And so here's what Swolbenji would do to steal the chest. So here is what you do as the thief if you want to secure the loot for yourself. You need to run to the bosses that are worth killing, down the bosses and all the minions connected to the chest and the boss, backtrack through the dungeon once you've cleared the bosses, and clear at least a good chunk of the dungeon. You don't have to clear the whole dungeon, just the majority of the dungeon. Then you have 2 whole minutes to loot the chests before the other guy can. I'm going to demonstrate this. So here's a few tips and tricks, right? So let's say as Swolbenji the thief, I have ran up ahead into the dungeon, and here's the boss, here's the chest. However, this mob is connected to this boss connected to this chest. If I were to fully DPS this boss down, but then the Chef Swolbenji runs up and kills this mob afterwards, then he will be the one who claims the chest, not me, even though I killed the boss. So as the thief, you always want to kill the ads first. Any ads that are connected to this chest. Now, the rules are generally, this is a little speculative and not 100% on this, but whoever is the first character to deal 35% of the target's maximum HP to the boss will be the one who gets the chest for the next 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate now what it's like to have your chest stolen by someone, right? So I've killed the boss because I rushed straight to the boss. I can't open this chest. You left too many enemies alive. So what a lot of people do is they're just going to sit at the chest, and they believe that as long as they camp this chest, it's a waiting game. So they're going to wait out the thief. Hopefully he leaves. But the thief knows better, because the thief can just run away and clear the dungeon, and he has ownership of that chest for 2 entire minutes. I'm going to demonstrate that as well. Here's a quick tip as not the thief, but the owner of the dungeon or the dungeon map, or the person getting their dungeon stolen. Do 1 auto attack on all trap monsters. A trap monster is an explosive barrel, the flaming chests, the lightning stones that circle around, those kinds of enemies. For the undead, it's the statues. Just hit them once. They all count as a trap mob, but when you hit them once, it counts them as an active mob that is needed to be slain for the chest to unlock. So the Swolbenji character has now cleared enough of the dungeon for this chest to be his. As the dungeon owner who did not kill the boss, if I try to loot this chest, the loot is protected for another 119 seconds. So that's 2 minutes. There's a way to do this, though. You'll notice that the Swolbenji character is faction flagged. I'm in a yellow zone. Here's how to steal the chest without waiting 2 minutes. PvP flag up. That's all you have to do in order to counter steal the chest from the thief. Now here's the thing, most chest thieves like myself will be faction flagged. It's simply just a good idea. So what I'm going to do is PvP flag, and now I can just yoink the chest before the Swolbenji thief comes back to claim the chest. However, this does put you in a predicament. So as the dungeon thief, right now I'm like, haha, I'm going to go and get this chest. And then I walk up and I'm like, what the heck happened? Why is the chest already open? It hasn't been 2 minutes yet. And then I see that this guy is PvP flagged. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just beat him up. Now, here's the thing. I'm faction flagged. I can't hurt him because I am faction flagged. We are not allowed to fight each other. So here's the thing. If you match your thief's gear he can't unflag to fight you. I mean, he could, but most thieves are going to be an 8.4, as you can see here. But as the thief, if I inspected this guy, I'm like, oh, that's an even fight. That's kind of scary. I would just leave. It's his dungeon. He can have it, whatever. But if I unflag as the thief and I have very strong gear and the person of the dungeon is like in flat 4 or 5 or 6, he's a dead man. And so you can't really do anything as the owner, because if they unflag from faction, well, they're just going to down you and kill you, which is going to put you in a 3-minute timeout. And then the thief can just clear the rest of the dungeon in that time and take the loot. He doesn't even have to backtrack. So that can backfire on you. I wouldn't really flag up for a green chest, but here's the thing. Like, no one knows this mechanic. I didn't know this mechanic until a couple days ago when someone did it to me. So now I'm teaching it to you guys. So that's how to steal a chest in a dungeon, but also how to counter-steal a chest in a dungeon. Now, granted, let's pretend we're not in a yellow zone. Let's pretend we're in a blue zone. You can still flag up for PvP in a blue zone and still counter-steal the chest. However, the original thief cannot down you because you're in a blue zone. The only thing that the thief can technically do is run to the boss, PvP flag up, and set at the chest and wait. After, it doesn't matter, killing the boss, whatever. So then it truly becomes a waiting game of who has to go to work or sleep or school first. And that's where the real fun, real-life time PvP begins. So here is the instructions as the counter thief. Wait for the thief to clear the boss and then backtrack to clear the dungeon. PvP flag up when he's off your screen. Once the chest lights up and becomes lootable because the thief has cleared the dungeon for you, loot it, and you don't have to wait 2 minutes this time, because PvP flag mechanics are weird like that. So what most thieves will do when they're stealing a dungeon is they will beeline it to the boss every single time and kill them. And then they will full backtrack and clear 90% of the mobs, and then they're going to haul back to the chests and then loot them. Easily done in 2 minutes. As the counter thief, you need to swap to movement skills, making sure your character can run as fast as possible. Camp the first chest of the dungeon, and then the very second it unlocks, loot it. And then haul your butt to all the other chests, and you should be able to outrun the thief, and he shouldn't be able to down you. And because you can loot chests instantly, just let him hit you, and just grab the loot, and there you go. Finally, if you're the thief and you're expecting this behavior, go off their screen for about 10 to 20 seconds. See if they start flagging up. If they do, turn around, or unflag, turn around, beat them up, down them a bunch of times, and then take the dungeon by force. For group dungeons, as the counter thief, you can stall the thief out on certain bosses. You can aggro the boss and pull it so it resets, meaning they will never be able to kill it, assuming you have a taunt or you can pull aggro. Trigger mechanics that heals or causes high damage to happen during certain events. It really depends on the boss, right? Also, you can just out DPS the thief and claim the chest as your own. If you have a higher DPS burst build, like for instance a one-handed dagger, will theoretically outburst a Shadow Caller for the first like 35% of the HP of the boss, and then just let the Shadow Caller melt the rest off, and then it's your chest. Oops. That's one way to do it. So if you are stealing group dungeons as a thief, you need a movement swap set to skip all the mobs, because you don't have a healer, you don't have a tank that can pull. It's really, really hard to run past a competent group dungeon party and steal the bosses. Also, with a movement set, if you are very quick enough, like you have Wanderlust or you have Boots, you can Boots into Invispot, and they will never see you. They simply will never see you at all, especially if you know how to check nameplates very early on and they're not paying attention. You could run completely past them, making them completely oblivious to the fact that you have stolen the bosses, and then you just sit at the chest and they will clear the dungeon without even realizing what has happened, and then you can just collect a couple, 2 to 3 million per dungeon. It's super easy with zero work other than downing the boss. Anyway, that is all I've got. Let me know what you think. Have you ever stolen someone's chest in a dungeon before? What about a group dungeon? Static dungeon? Open world? Let me know in the comments. I am curious. What do you think about these interesting chest stealing mechanic changes? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you want the old way back where, you know, might makes right and whoever kills the boss technically is the owner, regardless of PvP flagging? I think it's an interesting little mechanic. And with that said, hit the like button because people are going to be really hating this video for teaching others how to steal. But not only that, but how to counter steal. A lot of people don't want new players to know these mechanics. And a lot of people simply just don't like, you know, chest stealing at all. They think it's bad-mannered or scummy. I think it's part of the game. I think it's funny. I think it's memorable. So I need your help. Thumbs up the video. I really need you to do that for me. Anyway, finally, on the right side of your screen, there is a video you should absolutely click. And if you don't click it, you're going to have a legendary chest stolen from you. Oh, and random shout out to SSGamer5482 who got first comment like 5 times in a row. He wanted me to shout out his name because he was the first to comment 5 times in a row. There you go, bro.